Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of Buburuza Productions TV.
Hi, I'm John,
And I am Bogdan.
and this is episode 7.
In this episode, we are talking about facing criticism. It's a very delicate, very sensitive, actually, subject when you choose to go public.
I think that no one would be surprised at the kind of vitriolic hate and abuse that people can spew out online. We all know that that's there, and that's a part of it, and that's probably pretty easily dismissed. You only have to look at the presidential elections to see how much people feel they can say about each other and not be hurtful.
But there are progressively, if you look through comments, through feedback, there are more negative feedback than positive feedback. I wonder why a lot of people are making negative comments instead to do constructive, more positive comments.
Well, I think a lot of it's training. I think people don't necessarily know. I think there's a certain anonymity when you're on the internet. People, you're not in front of a person, so you're not following the kind of visual clues that tell you when you're people reacting that you're being cruel or you're being overly stating things. And when you're by yourself, you can just say whatever you want. I think that people don't necessarily know how to give good criticism. That's an art that people learn.
And what I learned about myself, there are some comments, they're not necessarily negative. I am always reading them with a negative voice.
I think that's natural. I mean, you begin. I think part of the whole dynamic of this is figuring out why you react the way you do to what you read. Obviously, people can spew anything at you. You're feeling vulnerable because you're out there in the public in some way, and so the words that come in, you start to color them yourself. So very often you can misread something and insert your own intentions into it without even that never being what the author intended. So there's always that fear. And then, I mean, like I said, if they're being overtly cruel, then you can dismiss them pretty easily. It's when they're hitting a nerve with you that I think you need to start, at least I find in my own life, I need to start looking at why things upset me. Why am I so vulnerable? And what are the alternatives? You have to consider the source as well.
And it's so important when you go public, you have to thicken your skin and get this criticism, get along with them. It's part of what you choose for.
Right, and what we haven't said is criticism is very, very helpful. We need criticism. How else would we move forward? There are a lot of people out there who know a lot more than I do, and those people, getting feedback from them could save me a whole lot of learning curve that I would have to go through. So, I mean, I think you should be appreciative of criticism. If they haven't worded it in a way that sounds that positive, you have to step back. I would never answer anybody if I'm angry or hurt. Step back, give it some time, and then pick through what has been said and pull out the good stuff that you can use.
Yes, and it is really important when you look at this criticism to look at the source, where they're coming from. Do a little bit of research, if it's possible, of the person who put that comment.
Know who the person is.
And see how voice
and how valid
she
and
has.
how expert their opinion
Right.
is. And it doesn't even have to be expert. Sometimes you can get people who just react, and you say, "Wow, that is a reaction I never thought my piece would have."
But man, I'm getting hurt. Every time I read something negative, I'm getting hurt, and then I have to wait a bit to think of it and said, "Is it? Should I feel this way?"
we're kind of putting ourselves out there on a limb, and that means we're more vulnerable. That means that we have to be able to face the world that we're throwing ourselves out into. And what we had to say to ourselves is, what we think we're marketing is actually us. Lots of people can do good video. Lots of people can do good photography and write good children's books. But what's different about us is us.
Yes.
And so part of our marketing has to be that we're putting us out there.
Yeah.
Accents, bellies, and all. I mean, that's just the way we are. And
You mean there's nobody perfect?
there are probably perfect people, but they're not in this room. So yeah, I just think that as a creative, you always have to be concerned with how you're putting yourself out to the public. But at the same time, if you hide away, I'm not sure you do yourself a lot of good either. So I think you have to find that balance. Take criticism when it comes. Thank people for the time and effort they take to give you that kind of criticism. But for goodness sake, don't let a small person ruin your big dream.
Yes, and even those negative comments that you're gonna find, the creator, the person who wrote them, maybe is his style to write that way, not necessary to think that negative. Some people are more direct. Some people have no filter. They are, they think you're like them, and you have to put yourself in their skin.
And I really think the consequences for not putting yourself out there, at least for us, was larger than the threat of being attacked. So great. Hopefully you haven't run into anybody who's been impolite or mean to you in any kinds of criticism. But if they do, know how you're going to react. Have a plan. I think that's probably the best advice we could give. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We'll have many more.
Check out our website right here.
Subscribe. That would be very helpful.
Leave comments, and we'll see you in a new episode.
Thanks. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.